right, so you just got a new bumper, got some new lights, and now all the wiring, which is pretty straightforward if you basically want all the wiring and all the lights to go on 2 switches on your panel or something like that. But what if you wanted to do something different? What if you wanted like the center lights to go on your fog light switch, but still be able to control them with your other lights on your main switch without using a multitude of relays and a lot of really complicated wiring? There's got to be a better solution, right? Well, there is, and it's right here. And it's these little diodes, part number 1N4007. And I have to give a huge shout out to the YouTube channel Fly Ride for showing me this. So with these diodes, you don't need any of these wiring harnesses. All you need is your plugs for your wires, or for your lights, excuse me, and then some extra wiring or lengths of wire of your own. So basically, the way that I'm going to wire this is I have 3 lights on either side. I have an SS5, an SS3, and an SS2 lined up on either side. Now, I want to be able, from my aux beam controller, I want to be able to hit a button and have all of the lights come on their full brightness on one button. Turn that one off, hit a different button, and have all of the lights come on their backlight on a different button. But I also want the fog lights to come on full brightness with the fog light button. And then I want to see if I can integrate all of them into sequential turn signals with the backlight. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So let me get some stuff mocked up here, and I'll bring you back and show you how it all works. All right. So the way that these little diodes work is there is a little gray stripe on them. Now, first of all, these things are incredibly cheap. I bought 150 of them for like $6. So very, very cheap. For right this moment, I just need one. So I'm just going to pop one out of the rack here. Show you how to do this. So there is a gray stripe on them right here. That gray stripe is like your bouncer, right? So power can flow through it this way, but it cannot flow back through it this way. So you want to put that stripe wherever you think you're going to need the power blockage at. Excuse me, I misspoke. I do need 2 of them for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to put both of the gray stripes at the same end, okay? And then you're going to twist these wires together. Let me grab a little pair of pliers here. All right, so you're going to twist the 2 ends with the gray stripes together. And you don't have to make it overly tight, but you want it somewhat tight. I'll show you why in a moment. Okay, so you've got that end together, and then this end is separate, and you're going to keep that end separate. Now, one of these ends, okay, is going to go on one wire, and then each end is going to go on a different wire, and you're going to want to solder these together. So let me get that taken care of, and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like after. All right, I'm trying to show you this quick because I'm losing daylight fast. So the red wire is our main lead in, and then a purple wire has one diode on it, the green wire has the other diode on it. So if this was a normal 3-way bridge, then, you know, something like this, then I should be able to provide power to one side and both lights would come on. But see how only one comes on. So if I break this down and I do the same thing with our other bridge here, this will be a little easier. But now, if we give power here, we get both lights on. So these bridges like this are nice because what it allows you to do is it will flow, like I said before, in the direction of the lines. So if I connect it this way and I hook one here, oh, I guess it wants to go this way. So if I connect it this way and we go one here, I'm just going to use these pliers to keep everything separated. Don't have much room here. And then we use our red wire and bridge the other one here. So now, if I give power over on the red wire, we get only the one side. If I give power on the purple wire, we get power on both sides. If I give power on the green, we only get one side. So it stops that flow between them, which is really cool in my opinion. So I'm gonna get these all wired up tonight, as far as I can anyways, and then I'll bring you guys back tomorrow. It is the next day, so let me explain what we've got going on here. I got these 3 lights wired up along with the crossover that bridges to the other side of the truck. I've got these 2 tied together just for testing, but basically we have ground, so you're gonna have ground for the back lights, and then ground for the back lights, and then ground for the main lights, and then you've got the main light and the back light, as well as the fog light extra wire here. The other end of this wire, I don't know if you can see that there, the other end of this wire is the one that'll go up to the switches, along with the one that goes to the fog light switch here. So basically, the way that this works is if we take our power probe, connect it to our grounds here, and I'll go one step further and get a test light here. So hopefully you can at least see the display on that. So first we will give power to the back lights from the driver's side of the truck. Excuse me, passenger side of the truck. And as you can see, nothing happens because they won't backfeed. But if we give power from the switch side of the truck, you get all 3 backlights together. Now, if we give power to the main harness, you get all 3 of the off-road lights. If you notice, nothing has come on the fog light switch. Let me get the end of this. If we give power at the fog light switch, we get only the fog light in the middle, but it also gives power across here. You can see on the display. That'll provide power to the other side. Now, the cool part about this is that we also have integrated our turn signals. So now we have separate switches for, on our 8-gang panel, we can turn on just the back lights. We can turn on the regular off-road lights, like everybody usually has the 2 switches. In addition to that, now whenever we hit our turn signal, we have the integrated turns, and we have a factory fog light, or me, because I like to be able to use fog lights when the high beams are on, I'll put the fog lights on a separate button on the dash. So let me get the rest of this wired up, and then I will explain how we did it and show you a small diagram so that you can do it yourself also. Here's our wires coming in from the other side. In our 4-pack there, it's yellow, white, black, and red. The yellow is going to connect into the blue wire. We've got a diode here with the gray stripe facing towards the light, and that's going to connect to the blue on the light harness, as well as the blue that goes to the next light. This one is going to have a diode on it with the gray stripe facing the light harness. And that'll connect to the blue there, as well as to the blue that goes to the third light that has the diode facing the light harness. Okay? Within these same connections, you have your flasher relay. Now your flasher relays are a simple 4-wire relay for a sequential flasher. You have a common ground, and then you have your first blink, second blink, third blink. So your first blink is going to come over and connect in with this connection here. So you're going to have 2 wires coming in, 2 wires going out of that connection. Your yellow wire is going to come over and connect to this connection here. So you're going to have a diode. All of these have diodes on them with the stripe facing towards the light. The yellow one is going to come over here. So you have 2 connections in. The jumper from the blue here to this one, and the yellow wire coming in for the sequential. Then you have 2 wires out, this one here and this one here, running over to your red for your third flasher, as well as this one here. So you've got 2 wires in, 1 wire out of that connector. So stripe facing the harness, or facing the light, stripe facing the light. That takes care of all of your backlight features. Okay, now your grounds. I like to put a ground at the end of my harness, so this is just going to go over in chassis ground. That'll connect with this one from the sequential relay to your ground from your wiring, your light harness, and then it also connects to a ground that comes back to the second wire, connects in, wire that comes over to your third harness, connects in, connects to the ground here, and then it comes back, and this is where your ground splits, and I'll explain that in a second. So you're going to connect your single black wire here to the black and white wire here. The reason that we're doing this is when you get back to your aux beam box, you're going to have 1 switch for your backlight and 1 switch for your main off-road lights. The backlight and the off-road need their own ground. You already have a 4-wire system, so you're just going to utilize that there. So here you can bring it in, your yellow and white to one circuit and your black and red to another circuit. All right. Now your red wire is going to run up in here and connect through to the red on your light harness with a diode stripe facing the light. It's also going to connect to both of these red wires here. Now it doesn't matter which side you connect them to, so you can do 2 in on this side, 2 out on this side. That's perfectly fine. That's going to allow power to flow in to your main off-road light here. It's also going to allow power to flow all the way across down to your third light in your main off-road harness there, or your main off-road light there. This center one is going to bring your power across and down in to your main off-road light here, the yellow, right? When I say the main off-road, I mean the yellow, not the amber backlight. This orange wire is also going to make that connection here. We have another diode. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. Another diode here for this orange wire with the stripe facing the light. That means that when this wire gets power down into it, it will not backfeed your fog light to the other side, or your switch, whatever the case may be. When you hit the switch for your orange wire coming in, right, which is this wire that we have, you can see our harness coming from the other side. There's our 4 colors. Here's our orange one. So when the power comes in from the other side, it flows in to the fog light, but it cannot flow out back to your harness here for the other ones. That's why only the fog light comes on. The yellow wires on these two plug ends are not used, so you take a piece of heat shrink and cap those off. That way there's no confusion. And then this power and ground is what gets connected to your turn signal flashers. So you can use a common ground or a chassis ground and then connect that red wire into the light. You can use a test light and you can see which one actually comes on and off with the flasher. So your orange wire then goes back over to the fog light switch. I like mine coming back to a fog light switch because on the factory turn signal indicator switch, when you turn your high beams on, it turns off your fog lights. I want to be able to have mine on with the high beams. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So you can either wire it to your factory switch or a separate switch. Now, all of this being said, I have to disclaim, I am not a professional electrician. I am not proficient in electronics. This took me about 2 weeks worth of research and sketching diagrams and seeing if this would even work, and then just taping this stuff down like this took about 2.5 hours, and making all the connections on the harness on the other side took roughly 6 hours, granted filming and all that. Anyways, this is not a quick throw together thing. This is something that will take a lot of time, a lot of patience. You need to know how to solder or learn how to solder. I am not responsible for any damage to your vehicle, anything that you do incorrectly. I don't even want to be responsible for anything you do correctly. I'm sure that I am probably not doing something correct, and just because it's working for me doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else, but maybe somebody with more knowledge than me can explain it in the comments. But this is how it's working for me. So now that I know that this is working for me, I'm going to go ahead and make these connections. We'll get all the wiring dressed up, and then I will reinstall it on the vehicle. And well, before I install it on the vehicle, I'll show you a demo of how everything works, and we'll go from there. All right, so I finally got it all wired up. I will tell you, there is one more diode that you need to put in over here. Basically, where the two wires come together for the harness that goes to the other side of the vehicle, you need to bring those two wires together, and then a little piece out the other side, and then a diode with the stripe facing that way, and then you can continue on to the rest of this harness. Otherwise, when you do the left blinker, it'll backfeed over and you'll get basically flashers. So what we have, and I apologize for the brightness, but we have backlight across everything. So backlight, running light if you want to. We have full brightness off-road lights all the way across. We have our fog lights that'll go to the separate switch. We have our left turn signal, sequential. And then we have our right turn signal, sequential. So I have everything kind of clipped together here because the harness from one side to the other side is not connected yet, as I didn't know the exact length I was going to need, and I wanted to be able to trim it or add if I needed to. So next step, get it on the truck and show you guys what it looks like finished. I'm also going to wrap all of this up, and I will tell you, this took a lot longer than I thought it would. Hopefully by me mapping this out, it'll help somebody. All right, here we are with the lights fully in, new bumper, and you can see how they're set up. Now, the DRT bumper, it does fit an SS5, but it is tight. There's not a lot of clearance. There's a couple ways you can fix that, but it does fit for what I need it to. So let me get the truck started here and get the camera on a tripod, and I'll run you through the different functions. We have our backlight DRLs, full power off-road lights, integrated turn signals, and we also have just the center fog lights. I hope this video has helped someone on their project. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you do end up doing something like this, please tag AZ Backroad Adventures on Instagram so I can check it out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate your support.